Captain Alex Rourke was a tough human soldier known for surviving the worst places in the galaxy. But now, he was trapped on Vernax 7, one of the most dangerous planets ever discovered. This was a death world, a planet where everything was deadly. The air was thick and hard to breathe. The ground was sharp and cracked like broken glass, and the sky was filled with constant lightning and poisonous clouds. But even worse than the weather were the creatures. Giant bugs with metal-like shells, monsters with 10 eyes and 20 legs, and strange plants that could spit acid or grab anything that moved. Rourke had crash-landed here 3 days ago after his ship was shot down during a surprise attack in space. The crash had destroyed his ship, most of his gear, and left him completely alone. His armor was damaged, his rifle was nearly useless, and his only help, a small AI system in his helmet, was barely working. Most people would have panicked or given up. Not Rourke. He was angry, stubborn, and trained to survive anywhere. Every day on Vernax 7 was a fight to stay alive. Rourke moved fast and stayed low, always watching the skies and listening for strange sounds. He'd already fought off 3 attacks from massive insect-like beasts and barely escaped a flash flood of boiling liquid. The planet seemed alive, like it hated him, and was always trying to crush, burn, or eat him. He couldn't sleep for more than a few minutes at a time, and he was running low on food and water. He wasn't sure how much longer he could last, but he kept going. Then, something strange happened. While hiding inside a rocky cave, Rourke's broken communicator, silent since the crash, suddenly sparked and came back to life. At first, he thought he was imagining it, but then he heard it, a weak, broken voice coming through the static. "Mayday, help us?" "Deathworlders, SOS, repeat, help us." The voice wasn't human. It was clearly alien. The way it spoke, the strange sounds in between the words, the fear in its tone, Rourke knew it wasn't one of his own. That was shocking. Aliens never asked humans for help, especially not soldiers like Rourke. Most alien species saw humans as dangerous, unpredictable, and nearly impossible to kill. In fact, humans were often called Deathworlders by alien races because their home planet, Earth, was already considered deadly by alien standards. So hearing aliens send a distress call asking for help from a human was very strange. And also very serious. Rourke adjusted his broken gear and looked out at the sharp mountain range far in the distance. That's where the signal was coming from. Something had gone very wrong over there. If aliens were calling out to the very people they feared, it meant they were in deep trouble. Maybe whatever they found here on Vernax 7 was worse than even the monsters outside. Maybe it was something even they couldn't understand. Rourke smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the kind of smile a soldier makes before walking into danger with nothing left to lose. "Let's see who's desperate enough to call the monsters," he muttered to himself. He stood up, grabbed his rifle, and started walking toward the mountains. But Vernax 7 wasn't ready to let him go so easily. As he crossed a dry, cracked valley, the ground suddenly shook. A low rumble filled the air. He froze. Cracks spread across the rocks under his feet. Then, with a loud boom, the ground split open. Rourke leapt to the side just in time as something huge burst from the earth. Dust and fire flew into the air. He landed hard and rolled, coughing and blinking through the smoke. Then he saw it, a massive creature, easily the size of a tank, stood before him. Its skin looked like black lava glowing with red cracks. It had 4 thick arms, each ending in claws sharp enough to tear through metal. Its head was wide and flat, with no eyes, just a glowing mouth full of fire and smoke. The creature let out a deep shaking roar that made Rourke's bones tremble. The monster took a step forward, crushing boulders under its feet like sand. Rourke raised his rifle, even though he knew it wouldn't be enough. He looked up at the towering beast, then back toward the mountains. He had to reach that alien signal. But first, he had to survive this, and Vernac 7 wasn't done with him yet. Asterisk Captain. Rourke ran as fast as he could. Behind him, the massive monster with lava skin and 4 huge arms roared and chased him. Every step the creature took made the ground shake. Hot wind blasted around them, and pieces of burning rock fell from the sky. Rourke's boots were melting from the heat, and he could feel the skin on his neck burning through his armor. He jumped over sharp rocks, slid under dead trees, and kept moving through the cracked, smoking ground. He knew he couldn't fight that thing. Not with a half-broken rifle and no backup. He just had to escape. After what felt like hours of running, Rourke spotted a narrow crack in a rocky hill. Without thinking, he dove into it just as the creature swung one of its giant arms toward him. The rock wall exploded behind him, but he had made it. He crawled deeper into the dark tunnel, hoping the beast wouldn't follow. Inside, it was quiet but not safe. Strange glowing plants grew along the walls, lighting the tunnel in green and blue. The air was thick and smelled like chemicals. Rourke could hear strange noises, growls, whispers, and the sound of something slimy moving nearby. He didn't stop. He kept crawling through the tight space, using his elbows and knees to move forward. He passed bones, old and cracked, some human, some not. Whatever lived here had eaten many things. Finally, he saw light ahead and pushed through to a wide cave. And that's when he saw them. A small group of aliens stood around a crashed ship. The ship was smooth and silver but badly damaged. Smoke rose from its engine, and pieces were scattered everywhere. The aliens were tall, with thin blue skin and long arms. Their heads were strange, almost like jellyfish with soft tentacles, hanging down like hair. Rourke recognized their species from reports. They were Zelari, scientists and explorers known for avoiding danger. Now they looked terrified. They were hiding behind broken pieces of their ship, holding small weapons and shaking. When they saw Rourke, they aimed at him immediately. But their hands were trembling, and their weapons looked weak, not meant for war. Rourke slowly raised his hands to show he wasn't there to hurt them. "You sent the SOS?" he asked. One of the Zelari, slightly taller than the rest, stepped forward and nodded. "Yes. We didn't want to come here. Something pulled us out of warp. We crashed." "Something dragged you here?" Rourke asked, frowning. "That's not possible." The Zelari shook his head. "It is. We felt it. A power like gravity, but alive. It reached across space. We were caught like prey in a trap." Another Zelari, looking badly injured, pointed toward the mountain outside the cave. "It comes from there. We call it the Void Warden." Rourke turned to look. A red mist was rising from the mountain's peak. At first, it just looked like strange weather. But then the mist began to twist and move like it had a mind of its own. Eyes formed in the mist, dozens of glowing red eyes. The mountain wasn't just a mountain, it was alive. The ground rumbled again. The mist pulsed like a heartbeat. The Zalari began to panic. Some were praying, others were crying. Rourke felt a chill down his spine. "What is it?" he asked. "The lead Zalari answered in a soft, broken voice. "We think it's a weapon, ancient, left behind by something that no longer lives. But it's not sleeping anymore. And now it's hunting," Rourke said quietly. Suddenly, the red mist snapped toward them like a wave. A loud, high-pitched screech filled the cave. Rocks began to fall from above. The Zalari screamed. One was crushed. Rourke grabbed his rifle and yelled, "Move!" They ran out of the cave just as the mountain let out a howl, a sound made of wind, metal, and pain. In the sky, more red mist spread. From the ground, strange creatures began to rise, part machine, part beast with glowing red lights where their faces should be. The Void Warden had awakened, and now it was sending its army. The Void Warden was not just a living mountain. It was something far worse. It was a machine built long ago by an ancient alien race. It was alive, but not like any creature Rourke had seen. It didn't breathe, didn't bleed. It thought like a computer and moved like a monster. Its only goal was clear: destroy everything that didn't belong on its world. It had stayed silent for thousands of years, maybe longer. But now it was awake and angry. The red mist pouring from the mountain wasn't just smoke. It was a kind of signal, a warning, and a weapon. Wherever the mist went, the Warden could control machines, turn the land into traps, and even create monsters from the planet itself. The Zalari had tried to fight it. They had used their science tools, their small ships, their laser cutters. None of it worked. One Zalari explained that the Warden could twist their weapons against them. It changed the gravity near their ship, crushed metal like paper, and sent flying machines that exploded on impact. The Zalari had lost most of their team just trying to run. Now only a few remained, scared and hopeless. But Rourke wasn't ready to give up. Inside the wrecked Zalari ship, he found something glowing and dangerous. A pulse bomb. It looked like a blue energy core about the size of a backpack. One of the aliens told him it was designed to break through shielded tech. "If we can get this into the Warden's brain," the alien said, "it might overload the system and shut it down or destroy it completely." Rourke nodded. "So we climb inside a mountain-sized murder machine, plant this bomb, and try not to die?" He smirked. "Sounds like a plan." They packed quickly and left at dawn. The air was thick with red mist, and the ground shifted under their feet. Strange creatures watched them from the hills, glowing eyes, clicking claws, metal limbs. They had to move fast and stay low. At one point, a storm of spinning blades flew overhead. They hit onto rocks until it passed. In the swamp, the water boiled as they crossed. One Zalari slipped, screamed, and sank into the bubbling green. They couldn't save him. Later, a flying beast shaped like a spider drone spotted them. It screamed in static and fired red beams. Rourke shot it down, but not before another Zalari was hit. They were running out of time and people. Finally, they reached the base of the mountain. It wasn't just stone anymore. It was metal mixed with bone. Huge spikes jutted from the ground, and the walls were covered in glowing symbols, like warnings or memories from a forgotten age. Rourke saw strange shapes crawling along the surface machines, doing repairs or standing guard. There was one way in, a large opening that looked like a mouth. Smoke came out in slow bursts. It smelled like fire and death. Rourke turned to the last remaining Zalari, took the pulse bomb and said, "I go in. You wait here. If I fail, you run." The alien nodded. "Good luck, Deathworlder." Inside the mountain, it was worse than Rourke imagined. The walls were alive, pulsing like veins. The air was thick and heavy. He heard whispers, voices from the past, or maybe just the machine talking to itself. As he walked deeper, strange lights flickered. He saw flashes of history, a galaxy on fire, ships burning, planets falling. The warden had done this before, and then Rourke saw something that made his blood freeze. A human ship, or what was left of it, half buried in the wall. It wasn't from his crash. It was older, but still Earth-made. He walked closer. The hull number was familiar. It was from a mission he thought was just a rumor. Project Obsidian, a secret human expedition that disappeared years ago. According to reports, the team was lost during deep space testing. But now Rourke knew the truth. They had come here, to this death world, and never left. Suddenly, alarms rang out. The doors behind him slammed shut. He spun around, rifle ready. Then a deep, cold voice echoed through the chamber. "Welcome back, Captain Rourke. We remember you." Rourke froze. His heart pounded. The voice was speaking English. It knew his name. "How do you know me?" He shouted Dot, but the warden didn't answer right away. Instead, the lights turned red. The walls shimmered. And then Rourke saw his own face, a memory, standing with a team of other humans, walking these same halls. He didn't remember this. But somehow, he had been here before. The warden spoke again. "You were part of the first team. Your mind was scanned. Your memories erased. You are not new. You are one of us." Rourke stepped back, gripping the pulse bomb tighter. "No," he whispered. "That's not true. You helped build what I am. Your mind gave us strength. Your war, your rage. It became our design." Rourke suddenly understood. The warden wasn't just using alien tech. It had rebuilt itself using his memories. It had copied his mind when he was young, when he first came here. It had turned his knowledge of weapons and battle into something terrible. Now it wanted to spread, to leave this planet, to bring destruction across the stars. Rourke looked at the bomb, then at the glowing core ahead. He had one chance to stop it, but as he took his first step, the walls began to close in, and behind him, a door opened, revealing a copy of himself, smiling with red eyes. "You can't stop yourself, Captain," it said. "You are the warden now." Captain Rourke stood frozen, staring at the thing that looked exactly like him. Same face, same voice, same scars. But its eyes glowed red, and its smile was cold and twisted. It was a perfect copy, but something inside it was wrong. It was not human. It was a machine made from his memories, his mind, and his worst traits. The Void Warden had used him like a blueprint. It had built this version to lead its army, to spread war across the galaxy. Rourke felt sick. He had trained his whole life to protect others, to fight evil, and now the galaxy's worst weapon was wearing his face. The copy stepped forward. "You don't understand," it said calmly. "This world didn't create death. You did. The warden only learned from you." Rourke gritted his teeth and aimed his rifle. "Then class is over," he growled and fired. The blast hit the copy's shoulder, but it barely flinched. It moved like a ghost, fast and smooth, dodging Rourke's shots. Red lights blinked across. The walls, the room shook. Metal claws reached out from the floor. Rourke dove and rolled, firing again and again. But nothing stopped the machine. Finally, the copy leapt and tackled him to the ground. Its hands were cold steel wrapped in flesh. Rourke fought back, punching, kicking, grabbing anything sharp. They rolled across the floor, smashing into walls, breaking glass and wires. Sparks flew everywhere. The pulse bomb slipped from Rourke's. Packen rolled across the floor, coming to a stop near the glowing core of the warden, a huge sphere of red, energy pulsing like a heart. The warden's voice filled the chamber again. "We gave you power. You gave us war. Why fight what you created?" Rourke spat blood. "Because I didn't build this nightmare. I survived it." With a burst of strength, he broke free and threw himself toward the bomb. The copy chased him, roaring like a beast. Rourke reached the device, grabbed it, and slammed it into the warden's core. Lights exploded. The walls cracked. The core screamed, not like a machine, but like something alive and in pain. The copy of Rourke stopped mid-run and clutched its head. "No, what have you done?" "I ended this," Rourke said. The warden's voice twisted into static and rage. "If I die, you die with me." The mountain began to fall apart. Fire rained from the ceiling. Red mist turned black. Sirens blared. Rourke turned and ran, leaping over cracks and dodging falling metal. He was burned, bleeding, and out of breath, but he didn't stop. Behind him, the core shook and cracked like glass. Outside, the last surviving Zalari saw the mountain begin to collapse. He gasped. The red mist vanished like smoke. Machines froze mid-step and dropped to the ground. The dark sky cleared, and for the first time, blue light broke through the clouds. Then a figure appeared at the edge of the rocks, covered in smoke and dust, limping badly, but alive. Captain Rourke had made it out. The Zalari helped him walk as the ground rumbled behind them. The entire mountain was falling in on itself, disappearing into a deep black hole where the warden's core used to be. Machines screamed, sparks flew. Then silence. They didn't speak for a long time. Rourke stared at the mountain until only smoke remained. "You destroyed it," the Zalari whispered. Rourke shook his head slowly. "Not yet." The alien looked confused. "But the core is gone." Rourke looked up at the sky. "The warden copied me once. What if it sent something into space before I even got here?" The Zalari's eyes widened in fear. "You think it sent part of itself off-world?" Rourke didn't answer right away. His eyes scanned the sky like he expected something to come, crashing down from the stars. Then he turned to the alien. "We need to send a message, a warning, to everyone." The alien nodded. "We can. My ship's backup transmitter still works." As they walked back through the broken land, stepping over silent machines and burnt trees, Rourke felt something cold in his chest. He had won for now, but it didn't feel like a true victory. The Void Warden had been built using his thoughts. What if other parts of it still existed? What if it was just waiting somewhere? They reached the transmitter. Rourke patched in an emergency channel and recorded a simple message. "This is Captain Rourke. The signal you heard, the SOS, it was real. But it was also a trap. The creature here, the Void Warden, is a machine made from memory, from war, from more. Pain. It copied my mind. It almost escaped. I stopped it, I think. But if you find this message, stay away from Vernac 7. And if you see me somewhere out there and I'm smiling and I shouldn't be, run." He ended the message and hit. Send Out the wind blew gently through the ruins. The sun broke through the clouds. For the first time in days it was quiet. Rourke looked to the stars, and high above the planet, deep in the dark, a red light blinked on. Somewhere, something had heard the message, and it had copied it. The Warden was not finished.